coming to get you, Barbara.
Whoa, welcome everybody to SlashLot. I am your co-host. I'm Sam the Damned Lens. I'm joined tonight by my co-hosts, Casey the Killer Kelderman and Blakenstein Ginnathan. How are you boys doing tonight?
It's been a while, but
Yeah.
I'm glad that we're back talking horror movies.
It's been a while.
That's exactly what was going through my head. God, now I'm going to have that stupid song stuck in my head for the next hour and a half. Thank you, Sam. I'm doing good.
Okay.
Blake, how the hell are you? You're watching wrestling. Life is good.
Hello, Blake. Can you hear us? Can you hear us, buddy?
I don't think Blake can hear us.
There's a private chat. Blake can't hear anything.
Blake cannot hear anything. Well,
That's okay.
I'll
We'll
send
just
Blake a
keep
message
talking.
if you want to keep going, Sam.
Yeah. So, should I tell him that this is the end of the line?
What's that?
Should I tell them that this is the end of the line, Casey?
After all of these technical difficulties, I think now is the time, as we're waiting for Blake to pop back in.
Yes. Okay.
I think
Yeah.
we'll wait for Blake to pop in to give the
Okay.
end of the line statement.
Okay.
But
sounds good.
either
Yeah.
way, I'm going to ask you a question, Sam.
Yeah.
You are not a wrestling fan,
No.
since we were talking to Blake about it.
Yeah.
I'm trying to figure out what type of wrestling you would like. I assume horror and wrestling will probably be a Sam thing.
Yeah.
Have you watched anything?
Me.
Have you watched any wrestling at all?
I mean, I used to watch a
Video
match
games,
or two. Yeah, I did a few video games. I had a friend who was kind of into it, but not super into it. So every once in a while, him and his dad would watch it, and I'd be around. But I just never. It was never a consistent thing for me. So I've seen bits and pieces. I always liked Sting. I had a Sting action figure.
Sting! That dude is still going, and he's 66 years old. That guy is insane.
Dang.
Sting's the man. Blake, we can hear you. Looks you can hear us.
I can hear you guys too, yeah.
What are your thoughts on Sting? Is he the GOAT of WCW?
I'm also a fan of The Crow.
Yeah.
Yep. Yep.
Which
no,
apparently...
I love Sting. Loved him as the blonde dude, and then when he did his whole goth thing, I really enjoyed that as well.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Sam, he even has a Joker phase that Sting goes through. So,
oh really?
I think the full spectrum of Sting you would dig. He starts off as a surfer, goes to the Crow, becomes the Joker. Yeah.
Yeah,
he's cool.
I could dig that.
Mm-hmm. Blake, we said
yes,
you
sir.
were watching wrestling. Life is good.
I'm not watching. I just have it
It's
on.
just on.
Yeah.
It's on.
Yeah.
Okay. But Sam was about to drop some news, drop some knowledge here at the top.
Yeah. So, God, how do you say this? We're coming to the end of the SlashLot line. Where this is our big finale, folks.
Yeah, this is
we're still gonna be talking horror and stuff. We're still gonna be going to the state. We're still gonna be the three of us are still gonna be texting each other. It's just that the Oscars controversy has really just split us into three ways. Blake's a Will Smith stan, and I was like, no, Chris Rock's my boy. And
And
Casey was
I'm
like,
sitting in the middle. Like,
Jada should have been.
Jada should have got up and slapped the shit out of Chris Rock.
Yeah, that's exactly how I remember our conversations going about this whole thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the general rundown of it.
Yeah.
No, it's just, we've been just trying to do this on a fairly consistent basis, and we're busy people, and it's fine.
I think the best way to put it is I mean, this is 2 shows now we've had to say goodbye to in the horror sphere. Killer Countdown, we had a big fun send off, and that was kind of the soft reboot for this. But like every great horror franchise, it's time to send them to space.
Yeah.
Or kill the franchise. Since we don't have the Elon Musk money, we're not going to space. It's time to put us in the ground. But we are
emailing Musk on a weekly basis to see if that's in the realm of possibilities. So
we are, and we're going to hell. Too,
yeah.
So.
Yeah, I'm excited to see you. I mean, you guys have some stuff planned, so I'm really excited to see that, and I mean, maybe be involved. I don't know what's going to happen with all that, but you guys have some plans, and I'm really excited to see what comes to fruition with that. Now, I mean, I have some stuff going on too, so it's just I mean, maybe this will come back at some point. We don't know, So it's just right now things are very difficult. And like we missed a month was it in February, and it's just getting hard to do this sometimes. So. Yeah.
The only thing that's changing is you're going to get 1 less podcast, 12 less podcasts in your feed during the year. So I think that's the only thing that's changing. And if you have a problem with that, I don't know who would, but I don't know. Go listen to any other podcast that all 3 of us are on to hear our stupid comments. So
I was about to say, it's not like opinions. You can't find any of us babbling incoherently about movies on any given platform.
Yeah.
There's plenty of it. And I'm sure there will be plenty more 3 of us collaborating.
Yeah, absolutely.
So this is like our big send-off. We're doing a big, we're putting all our fresh meat on the table.
We're putting all of our meat on the table. Yeah. All 3 of us just slapping the meat down for this episode.
I think we don't have big meat, so it's just I don't need a lot of room on the table personally.
No, that's why we need 3 pieces of meat on the table. Just to,
just to
penises, get it?
A little bit.
Oh, is that? Oh, I was talking about little slabs of meat, but okay.
Oh no, Sam's vegan, so we can't bring that up.
Oh, I didn't think. I always forget Sam's vegan.
No, I'm excited for this because I have, all of us, we all have a ton of fresh meat to talk about.
Yeah. I was actually worried at first. I was like, I don't think I'm going to have that much. And then I started looking through my letterbox. I'm like, oh no, I've actually watched quite a bit of horror and not rewatches like I usually do. I've watched some new shit and I was kind of excited about that. I was like, cool.
Yeah. I'm with you. I have maybe 1 or 2 rewatches, and then the rest is all new. So I actually have quite a bit of, not quite a bit, but a lot of my stuff is 2022 stuff. So I'm kind of excited to get into that. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
I have not gotten a lot of that yet, but a little bit, a few.
Yeah.
I'm going to be taking some recommendations from Blake because I'm behind on my 2022 so far. I think I have maybe 3 new horror movies from the year is all, or something.
That's probably what I have. So it's not like I'm crushing it or anything.
I've watched the big ones so far. That's about
it.
But
I'm
looking forward to getting into a few more indies because the few that I have seen there have been. Really
I know one Blake
year.
has seen that I'm like, shit, I need to watch that.
Okay, we'll get to that then.
Yeah. Should we start some fresh meats?
Yeah. Should we just do a 1 person does a movie or 2 and then just rotate around? Or okay, perfect.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I can start.
Sure.
I've got. I know I talked about it a little bit on the Schmuckies because this is the reason I watched this movie, but I finally watched Titan, however you want to say it.
Okay.
So this is my first.
Ducarno.
Okay. Yeah, this was my first movie of hers. I have
See, that's
Raw.
that's
I
the
just
Raw.
haven't
I
put it
think
in yet.
I thought Blake was watching right now. Was that Raw, not wrestling Raw? Like, oh, all right.
No.
Yeah. Raw sounds incredible. I've had it for like 2 or 3 years. I just have not hit play
Yeah.
on it yet, which is unfortunate. I didn't love Teton, but I really admired how dedicated to just being its own thing it was.
Yeah.
The first half of the movie to me is intricately more exciting and entertaining than the second half, which I felt kind of went into like schmaltzy territory, and there was just kind of a tonal mismatch between the two halves that I just it hits a certain point in the story and it lost me and it never quite grabbed me back.
Yeah.
That said, I recommend any horror fan go out and check this out because it's a wild movie. It's not like anything that you've seen before, and clearly it's resonating with a lot of people because this is like considered one of the top, not just horror, but one of the top movies of 2021. And yeah, it's the most unique. I think it's the most unique movie I saw last year. But yeah, I dug it part of the way through. But it's still definitely a recommendation for me.
Yeah.
Casey, you haven't seen this one yet, have you?
I haven't yet. I just looked to see if it was streaming anywhere. It's on Hulu right now, so I will probably be checking that out soon. Then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I need to rewatch that one. You know, the problem with being a horror fan is like someone's like, "Oh my god, this movie's insane. It's grotesque, whatever." And then you watch it, and you're kind of like, "Well, I've seen worse than that." So going into Titan, I was expecting something because it won, Best Picture at the Cannes Film Festival, which is a pretty high honor. Yep. And so I was kind of expecting it to sort of knock my socks off, and it didn't. And like you said, Sam, halfway through it kind of like mutates into something else that is not horror related until the very end of the movie. But it becomes like this really gentle love story between someone who lost someone and somebody who is sort of lost and looking for someone. And so I'm kind of wrestling with the fact that whether I was too hard on it or not. I think I was. Like, I think its metamorphosis into something else works really well. It just, at the time, I was expecting something like to just blow me away, especially when the person who made it is like, well, I made the movie Raw, and I'm making this movie as sort of like a love letter to David Cronenberg, who's the godfather of body horror. And and there is some of that in this, obviously. It's just sort of, I was just kind of like, when is this going to like really take off? And it actually kind of like goes the opposite way halfway through. And I kind of admire it for that. And I mean, when we did the Smuckies thing, I gave technically a negative review to it, but I still nominated, like Best Director and Actress and Actor because I thought it was very well acted and whatnot. So I'd be curious to hear what Casey has to say about it when he sees it. So
yeah, it's and that's the thing. It's gorgeously directed.
Like, it's beautiful movie.
Yeah, absolutely. And the body horror elements when they come in are very effective. Like this is a gnarly, gross movie at times. Yes. And I dug that.
Yeah.
Yeah, you'll never look at motor oil the same way again.
Nope. Or like I think I saw it, like 4 months after my wife gave birth. So experiencing something like that over again in a theater was kind of traumatic, but what it is. So yeah. I guess I'll go next. I watched this movie also on Hulu called The Vigil. This is did you watch this, Casey? Or
no? Is this the one that came out 2-3 years ago?
I think it came out last year,
something like that.
I think it came out. Well, I think it was at Sundance a couple years ago.
Yeah,
but it came in theaters last year, and this movie is really spooky. It's only about like 70 minutes long, 75 minutes long.
Ooh, I love that.
So basically, listen, I don't want to offend anyone, so I'm going to get this right as much as I can. But I believe in like a Hasidic Jewish communities, when someone passes away, I think like before the ceremony, they can't let the body be alone. So someone has to watch the body. There's a term for this. I forget what it is. But this guy, he is sort of going through a really rough time in life, has a lot of low ambition, a lot of low self-esteem. He has no job. He needs money. He gets asked to watch this body. I think he gets offered like $500 to watch this body at night. He's in this house alone. It's one of those creepy old houses that hasn't been updated in 70 years. And while he's watching the body, I believe the person who passed away, their wife, their widow, is upstairs. And throughout the night, stuff starts happening. It's really weird. He doesn't know if it's real or imaginary or not. Obviously, like typical horror movies, and just weird shit starts happening, and it gets slowly creepier and creepier. Where he has to do things to sort of like get out of the situation, and he finds out that this demon, I believe it's called like a debak or something, or a debak. It latches onto people who are weak, and so him being in a weak state, he has to fight off this demon. He cannot just leave the night. He has to actually go through overpowering or overcoming the odds against this demon. So he can't just leave the house. He has to find the strength to move on. And boy, there's a lot of great scenes in this movie. The ending is great, where him overcoming the demon is a wonderful sequence. There's a great sequence where he goes into the basement because someone tells him to, and there's like this video playing, and he's like watching this video, and there's someone on screen saying something, and like they're mouthing it, and you can't tell what they're saying, and he's like slowly leaning into the TV, and then he realizes the person in the TV is saying, "Don't turn around," or "turn around," and then all of a sudden, like, the demon's behind him. It's just like great stuff like that. Highly recommend this movie. It might still be on Hulu, but this is one of those, like, you turn all the lights off, turn the volume way up, and just like go for broke on it. Really enjoyed this. I highly recommend it a lot.
Nice. Very nice. Yeah. I have not seen this yet. Is this part of the Blumhouse series that's on there? Or
I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't think so.
Okay.
I think this is a Sundance movie. I could be wrong about that, but
I remember it hitting the festival circuit in 2020, 2019, and it is on Hulu still.
Yeah,
so.
it's
this has been on my watch list for a while. I need to pop it on.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, I'll go with my first one here. I think Teton, when I finally watch that, will be a movie where Kayla walks in or looks up from her book and says, "What the fuck are you watching?" And that was this entire hour and 20 minutes or whatever of this movie, The New York Ripper, from Lucio Fulci. One of the bigger Fulcis I have not seen. This movie, as you would expect, is about a serial killer in New York chopping up women, mostly women of the night. If you know anything about late 70s, 80s New York, it's a pretty nasty place. This movie takes place in all of the nastiest places in New York, and shows a lot of those places, which is pretty insane. Because it goes into like all the adult entertainment, showing a lot of the adult entertainment, including some of the live stuff that was happening in New York around this time. The crazy thing is, the killer in this movie talks like Donald Duck when he taunts the police and calls these women on the phone. And so that's one of the kind of claims to fame for the New York Ripper. It's not like in top tier of what I think it's probably the least favorites of the Fulcis I've seen. I don't know if enjoyed it was the right word. Definitely respected it, and for what it was trying to tell. It's not a fun movie at all. It's a but it's a pretty insane movie. Has some pretty great gore, but it's also very exploitative. And understand that going in, that you're gonna see a lot of things that definitely would not happen in a movie now 40 years removed. Especially with how the women are treated in this movie. It's awful and terrible. And there's one shot in particular with a razor blade that starts on a woman's chest and keeps going down and shows the parts that it's cutting pretty intensely. Yeah, I don't know. You have to be into Fulci to, I think, get something out of this. I can just tell by Sam's face this does not seem like a Sam movie at all. I
started.
I would watch it again
a few months back. I started watching it. I turned it off. I did not. I was not on its wavelength. I don't think that I'll mind some of Fulci's stuff, but that was maybe not the.
It's not a fun one to start off with.
That I should have started with, maybe. Yeah.
Yeah, I watched the first half hour of this once, and I shut it off, and I was like, "That's even beyond the pale for me." I want to finish it, but I was just like, I have never felt more gross in my life than watching a movie. It's pretty disgusting. So.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yet I'm still the weirdo that gave it 3.5 stars on. So whatever.
Hey, art is subjective, man.
It is. Yeah, I don't know if I would recommend it, but it's worth a watch if you are interested. At least all of us gave it a shot, so I think that's kind of important.
Yeah.
Kind of like Cannibal Holocaust, where it's like, I'm never going to watch that again. I watched it, never going to again.
Yeah.
Anyway, Sam, do you have a Scooby-Doo movie to follow it up with?
I actually, you know what? I've watched so much Scooby-Doo. I've been watching a lot of the series, but I did watch Scooby-Doo Meets Batman because we were doing Batman month on Backlot, and so I've popped this VHS in probably like, I don't know, 3-4 times this month, just because I love this one. Yeah, so Scooby-Doo Meets Batman. Hashtag Dooheads.
Hashtag Dooheads.
That wasn't actually on my fresh meat though. I forgot I had watched it. My next one actually is because of my most anticipated movies this year, which we'll talk about. But for the first time in my life, I watched 1984's Firestarter with Drew Barrymore and George C. Scott. And I'm a massive Stephen King fan. There are very few Stephen King adaptations where I'm like, I don't know, that wasn't great. And this is one of them. Firestarter's fine. It's just, it's lacking a lot of momentum. Have you guys seen this one?
Mm-hmm.
I have not.
Okay. So it revolves around a father and his daughter who has pyrokinetic ability. She can start Firestarter.
Yeah. It's a Stephen King female protagonist.
Yes, exactly. And the government's after him, the shadow government, and they're like gonna use her to burn down enemies and shit. And that's pretty much the entire plot of the thing. And halfway through, she does get kidnapped, and then the second half is like the dad trying to. It's a lot like The Fury, actually. It would make a great double feature with The Fury. Because they hit a lot of the same plot points, actually, almost right down to there's a lot of similarities between those two. I don't know. It was fine. I'm very excited for the remake because John Carpenter's score and Dad Efron, and we'll get into that later. But I don't know. George C. Scott was wearing an eye patch and he was kind of hamming it up in the third act, and so I was like, this is kind of fun. Like, it picks up for me a little bit.
I might need to bump this up then.
Yeah. And then it just kind of ends. It's very abrupt. And it leaves you kind of like, oh, well, what? Wait, what? Okay. But I don't know. It's a light recommendation for me. I think I still gave it like 3 stars. And I think mostly because of George C. Scott, because like whatever he's doing in that third act, I'm just all in on it because I think he's the only person at that point that knows exactly what movie he's in. And yeah, so I dug it enough to give it a light recommendation, and I dug it enough to be excited to see where they go with a new adaptation. So, yeah, that's
Cool.
my next one.
Yeah, I haven't seen that movie in probably 30 years, so I should probably watch that again before the remake comes out.
Yeah,
I
it's
remember
fine.
I remember liking it, but yeah,
Yeah,
one of those like late night USA movies that I was up at 2 a.m. watching. So
yeah.
my next movie, it's a lot of fun. It's a little long at close to 2 hours, but it's called Shakma. This is on Shudder. I watched it on Shudder. This movie's nuts. So basically, it's about this group of college kids who are in this building shot in Orlando. They're like, it's like this research building they're in. They have like animals there that they do like surgeries on. And one night they decide to play this weird like fantasy game where they all have like walkie talkies and all these rooms are like made up, kind of like it's almost like they're playing like a Lord of the Rings type game. It's really weird. I never really understood it. And earlier in the day, there's a monkey, Shakma, who was acting violent. They went to put it down, and before they could do that, someone injected it with like this serum that makes them that does the opposite, and they gave them enough to where like Shakma goes insane. Shakma is like this baboon, and like within the first 15 minutes, the basically the plot of the rest of the movie just begins, and it's like an hour and a half of Shakma stalking people through this research. Like, it looks like an apartment building. But anyways, it's really cheaply made. It's just a cheap movie. But I have to admit, their ability to get this monkey to go insane and like attack people is pretty remarkable. I guess I was reading about the movie afterwards, and they had what's called a cold trainer and a hot trainer. And so whenever they needed the monkey or the baboon, to actually go insane, they brought in the hot trainer who had tricks to make the baboon act out. And then when they needed to calm down, they brought the cold trainer in to calm the baboon down. But there's
interesting.
Yeah, and this movie I think is worth watching based on it's a real baboon for pretty much like every shot. And how they get it to attack people, like it's actually kind of terrifying. And like at almost 2 hours, it feels very overlong. So it's kind of like a slight recommendation, but like I do recommend it just on the fact that there were parts where I was watching it, I felt really uncomfortable because of like this real baboon like stalking people and running after it and like getting really violent and gnarly in some places. So yeah, I think that might still be on Shudder. I don't know if they pulled it down or not, but Shakma. I watched this because I watched the trailer and it was the funniest damn thing I've ever seen. So I wanted to watch it, and yeah, a lot of fun.
This sounds like a Sam Lens movie through and through. I'm on board.
I've been waiting to watch this in a group setting because I first heard about it from Red Letter Media's Best of the Worst, and they were just
that's the best way to see it,
loving it. So I'm looking forward to watching it with the group and watching a monkey attack people.
It's pretty gnarly.
It is on Shudder yet and on Tubi.
Oh, cool.
Dope.
My next one is a movie that I came across because of Shudder's Creepshow series. I think this is the last episode of season 2 with Justin Long, where he has the VR machine that
Yeah.
he can enter the movie. The movie he enters is Horror Express, and that is on Shudder right now too.
Yeah.
So I
think they
popped
got
that
it
on
when that episode aired, didn't they?
I think so.
Because I watched it a few months back. Yeah.
Yeah, this movie's a ton of fun. It's a pretty batshit insane movie for what the premise is. Stars Peter Cushing and Christopher Lee. There are two main protagonists, and then there's a young damsel in distress character who is kind of the bombshell of this movie. And they're basically, Christopher Lee is this archaeologist who unearths this caveman creature, whom we later find out can look people in the eyes, suck all of their memories out of their brain, so they have a smooth brain and no wrinkles in it. He can also then look into other people's eyes and enter their body and possess them, but he can only do that when it's dark outside. And he's from outer space.
This sounds awesome.
This movie is
It's a wild movie.
Pretty insane. Takes place 95% of it takes place on a moving train, which is always a fun premise of we can't get off the train, and we can't get people freaked out that there's this shape-shifting, blood-sucking alien from outer space on the train. Lee and Cushing are just great as always, and kind of add this prestige to this rather schlocky premise of a movie. The effects are pretty low budget. It's basically just people wearing white contact lenses and having like red blood come out of their eyes, and one guy has a really hairy arm. And that's about it, but it adds to the charm of this movie. I would highly recommend this movie. I had a blast watching it. It is a low rent, early 1970s horror movie, but adds, like I said, prestige of Christopher Lee, Peter Cushing in it, and a pretty batshit and insane premise. Yeah,
this movie's nuts. I remember watching it after the Creep Show episode, and
I get why Justin Long wants to live in this movie.
Yeah, me too.
Yes. No, it's fun. It's a lot of fun. I dig it. It's cheesy, like you say. Like the effects are very dated, but like if you're into that like 60s, 70s B movie type of thing, like it's one of the better ones for sure.
Yeah.
So. My next, I'm just gonna lump my next two together. I know that you guys have watched one of these. I've recently rewatched Texas Chainsaw 3D, which is an underrated movie in the Texas Chainsaw Massacre franchise.
I have one that you're gonna laugh at too, so.
It's the legacy requel before legacy requels were a thing. Alexandria Daddario is in it. She has the greatest line in the entire franchise.
And plays a 45-year-old woman.
Yes. Oh my God. The timeline in this movie doesn't work whatsoever. I love it. There's a scene where Leatherface is about to tear up a carnival, and then and he just like chucks his chainsaw and runs back into the woods. And you're like, why did he even show up?
Because they needed a 3D effect, Sam.
Yeah.
What rapper is in this movie?
Is it Trey Songz?
Yep.
I think it's Trey Songz. Yeah.
Or music, whatever.
Yeah, and he's like a total ass in this movie. And he has the like easiest death. Like he just rolls the Jeep and gets knocked out and he's dead. Which is just a weird thing. And the nice guy gets brutally like hung up on a meat hook and sliced in half while he's still alive and screaming. And you're just like, that guy was just trying to make everybody a nice meal. What the hell? The first time I watched this movie, I hated it. The more I sat with it, the more I was like, God, maybe I was just taking this movie way too seriously. And so about a year later, I rewatched it, and I was like, no, this movie's hilarious. I love it. So this one, I tend to rewatch this one quite a bit, and with the new Texas Chainsaw Massacre coming out, I had to revisit it again. Which
I remember torrenting
yeah.
this movie in high school and watching it on my laptop during study hall. I hated it then. I don't like it now, but I get it. I get it.
Yeah, I don't know. It grew on me. It's not a good movie, but I have so much fun watching it. I think part of it is like it's one of those movies that my sister recommended to me. And I think it was just because she was so young that the only horror movies she had access to were like the few that were on Netflix. It was on Netflix at the time, and she's like, "You should watch this. It's so good." And so like we stayed up late one night and watched it, and I'm like, "This was terrible. Like, what are you talking about?" But like ever since then, I don't know. I've got that good memory. I've got like I don't know. I just really like this movie. It's one of my favorite sequels of the franchise, even if it's not good. I think you could say that about pretty much every sequel, though. So, just about. There's one in particular you couldn't, but yeah. And then that leads me to my next one, which I know both of you guys have seen. The new Texas Chainsaw Massacre from 2022, directed by David Blue Garcia, a movie that horror Twitter fairly divided. For really no reason, because it's fine.
This movie rules.
It's a great movie. Like, it's fun.
I don't know what people were expecting out of this movie is what I'm questioning. If you're going into this and you outright hate it, it's like you're watching a movie called Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and it literally gives you all three of those things.
Yes.
I don't know what else you want.
Because
it's not like this. It's not like this entire series is built off incredible characters and us connecting to them. It's like, no, from the first movie, you're like, yeah, kill these kids.
Yeah.
No, come on. No, you're not. No, you're not.
What's his name in the wheelchair? You want him to get gutted right
Yeah,
away.
One guy.
Well, he brought his whole friend group down. I blame him.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, I thought this was a really bad movie, but I do like it. I like the movie. I just think it's dumb.
It is.
It is. I
mean, like,
100%.
I just like. There's a part of this movie. I'm spoiling this movie. I don't really give a shit.
Do it.
There's a part of this movie where, like, not the main character, but like the woman from the first movie, she's like been waiting to kill Leatherface for 50 years now.
Yes,
and
that's the part I love.
She like, oh, I've got you, and then she just like has PTSD or something. I don't know what, but like she lets him get away. It makes no sense. And then she gets absolutely slaughtered. That's fine, whatever. I don't care. It's just dumb. It's just fucking stupid.
Best part, I love how the legacy characters just don't matter. Like, they're like, no, fuck that.
That's fine.
Every sequel's doing that. You want
That's
Sally
fine.
Hardesty?
That's fine.
Fuck you.
That's fine.
Yeah, I liked her more than as like her not vital, but her part in the story of the movie. I think I liked it more than Jamie Lee Curtis coming back as Laurie Strode. That might
I will
get
say
a lot of hate, but
this movie is lean. Like, I think it's like 80 minutes long. It wastes no time getting started.
Like 73 minutes before the credits roll.
Oh, okay. And the credits are like 11 minutes long.
Yeah.
Like, one dude gets his arm broken in half and then the bone jammed into his face, which is incredible.
And it's the first kill of the movie.
Yeah. You know, I had a lot of fun with this movie. I mean, the bus scene is obviously an instant all-timer.
Yeah. The bus scene's incredible.
There's a great sequence where, like, the lady is hunting Leatherface in the town, and he's in this dark alleyway, and you can't see him. And all of a sudden, like, the chain starts just revving up, and it's getting louder and louder and louder, and he runs out of the darkness. That stuff's great. Like, I love that stuff. It's just filled with incredibly stupid people.
Yeah.
But I realize, like, that could be every horror movie. I'm sure I'll watch this again and be like, yeah, okay, this rules. But this is like gather your friends and get some popcorn and like turn this up full blast. People get fucked up in this movie. So
The final
The-
Tesla gag
Yep.
just has me rolling every.
Yeah,
like,
I don't love the final kill of the movie, but I get it. I get it. So.
Yeah, this is everything I wanted out of it. This is more than everything I wanted out of this. I was expecting whatever and came out like, yeah, this is my favorite movie of the year so far, and I loved every minute of it. And there's some like genuine scares, like the one you said, Blake, with the running out of the alley, and when she's hiding under the bed. I'm like,
Also,
that's an actual really good scene. And then like her like moving the mirror too. I thought it was good.
Ambulance scene.
Yeah.
Is like it's like a fucking shark movie. Like Leatherface is Bruce from Jaws in that sequence. I love it.
We also never talked about this in our group chat when we initially, it feels like we all watched it the first day. It's so funny, Sam. I remember you got up at like 5 a.m. to watch it.
And I did. I got up like super early.
And in my head, I'm like, I feel bad saying this, but this is so true. I was like, what stupid motherfucker gets up at 5 a.m. to watch a horror movie? So here is the ironic thing. I passed out on my couch that night, and I woke up at 5 a.m. I'm kind of like, I got nothing else to do, so I watched it at 5 a.m. as well. And I'm just like, I owe Sam an apology. So I am sorry, Sam, for calling you a stupid motherfucker.
Oh, that's okay.
Yeah, it's a fun movie.
I am for multiple reasons. So whether it was for that or a different thing, you were spot on.
Can I just piggyback off this? Because I have 2 more TCM movies that I watched.
Jeez, yeah, go for it.
Oh, three more that you didn't watch, Sam. I watched the new one. I watched the OG right after.
Oh, wow.
Hadn't watched it in a while. And I'm like, yeah, this movie's still great.
Did you not go to the State Theaters late night showing?
I did not, no.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, this, for me, is not a late night movie because I feel very gross watching it, where I want to, I'm like, I kind of just want to go to sleep. Like, this doesn't make me want to stay up like the other ones do.
Okay, I'll disagree with you on that, but I'll talk about it after you finish.
It's still I think it's a damn near perfect horror movie.
Sure.
It's still incredible.
Mm-hmm.
I rewatched Next Generation because it was streaming, and I'm like, I haven't watched this in a few years. This movie's fun.
That's a late night.
That is the 4th one with
Matthew
McConaughey.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
And Renee Zellweger.
One of them has a robotic leg in it, right?
That is that one where Matthew McConaughey has a robotic leg.
That's right. Yeah.
And the Leatherface's Sawyer family, or whatever last name they have in this one, they work for the government to incite fear into people. Maybe the Illuminati. I don't know. It's very confusing.
That sounds incredible.
This movie, I love this
wild.
movie. I think this movie's a goddamn blast and kind of gives me everything I want out of it. And McConaughey in this movie is batty. He is insane in this movie, and he's going full Nicolas Cage in it, and he's having a blast.
The first 4 TCMs are pretty great.
I have not seen the 3rd one, and that's the only TCM movie I've not seen yet.
Three, like I would say the first 40 minutes, first 45 minutes of 3 are incredible, and then it kind of gets a little like dull. But I guess they cut a lot of gore out of it. But the first 45 minutes are wild. Next Generation is wild.
The teaser for TCM 3 is so good.
Yeah.
I've seen that a bunch of
times.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So the reason why I disagree with you on TCM not being a late night movie is like, I feel like when the movie starts and it's late, you're kind of like tired, and that first 30 minutes is a little slow, on purpose. And you're kind of like dozing, you're not like dozing off, but you're just kind of like taking it easy. And then when the shit hits the fan, it just doesn't end, and you feel like you're like in this dazed nightmare. And that's why for me it worked really well at night. I understand your reasoning behind it.
Mm-hmm.
I will also say the first time I ever watched TCM was like at 2 a.m. I was alone in a friend's house. I was a friend of mine bought a house. I was living with him, and it was like 2 or 3 a.m. I just started it, and I was kind of like, I don't get this. And then like that door slams open, and it goes from there. And I was just like, And so that's what like the TCM late night does for me.
Yeah.
You know,
if they show this at a drive-in, like I feel like if I was outdoors watching it, I think I would get kind of that
a hot summer
experience
night.
from. Yes, where I'm like sweating in the car, like,
and there's
should I turn the AC on?
There's
I don't
mosquitoes
know.
everywhere, and it smells nasty and shit.
Yep. And then I also watched Leatherface because that is the one I hadn't seen. I had the movie on DVD since it came out. This is the worst Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie because it's barely a Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie. If you're a completionist, I would say obviously you have to watch it. If you're like, yeah, I can pick and choose. Yeah, pick and choose not to watch this one because this one is bad. It's like a whodunit, except we're trying to figure out who Leatherface is.
Yeah, okay.
And the overall payoff of that is pretty lackluster.
Yeah.
And lacks a lot of like what makes a Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie a Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie. It's not very good. I would say the first, 10 minutes are fine because it's like a literal prequel to the first movie, including Drayton Sawyer and the Hitchhiker, who are both like their younger versions in this. But everything after that, I'm like, yeah, this is a slog to get through.
Yeah.
So don't recommend Leatherface.
I'm going to go through a few just kind of quickly, just for time's sake. But I watched finally Hell House LLC Part 2. Not as good as the first one. It's fun. There's like I'm still like amazed some of these real places exist that they're filming in. The locations are absolutely creepy. There's a lot of great sequences. I thought it added too much of like mythos because the first one's like really straightforward in terms of like what it's trying to do. And a lot of the scenes and the payoffs, the setups are great. However, I will give it a pass because if they're setting stuff up for the third movie, which I have not seen yet, then I'm okay with that. But I just felt like there's just too much story in this one. I got to rewatch
that one. Gets a little, just to refresh my memory because I haven't watched that one in a while. That's they kind of get a little meta in that one, don't they?
A little bit. Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah, because from what I remember, it gets a little too meta, and I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah,
if I'm into this.
Yeah. I rewatched I rewatched Lucio Fulci's Zombie, which is incredible. I highly recommend that one.
Yep.
The infamous Splinter into the Eye is just one of the all-time great horror gore sequences. I watched Lucio Fulci. Oh, sorry. Were you gonna say something?
I was just gonna say Sam looks disgusted by that. But Sam, there's a zombie versus shark.
Movie. Yeah. It's
like
great.
it's a ton of fun. Like it's not.
Yeah.
It's not the New York Ripper.
Yeah, it's not mean-spirited.
Igor just like, man, that stuff gets me.
It's remarkable because you think they're gonna pull away or cut away, and it just keeps going. And you watch this wood splinter just go right into this woman's eye, and maybe out the back of her head. I can't remember. I watched Lucio Fulci's The Psychic, which is not really a horror movie, but it has those vibes. A lot of fun, a little slow. Ending pays off. This movie's kind of notorious because I don't know if you guys have seen the first Kill Bill, the Tarantino movie. He uses the famous score from that in that movie when Uma Thurman's the bride is getting ready to cut that guy's tendon in his ankle in the hospital. And it's a slow like ding 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 ding. That's from this. So, anyways, I watched that. It's okay. The ending is great. It pays off, thankfully. And then I rewatched. I don't know if you guys have seen Perfect Blue, the anime movie from the 90s.
Nope.
This movie is incredible. It's like I said, it's an anime from Japan. It's about this pop star who is a part of this group, kind of like Destiny's Child. Or the Spice Girls. They're very famous. She wants to become an actress. She wants to be taken seriously. She leaves the group. There's an obsessed fan who stalks her. And the great thing about this, since it's animated, they're kind of able to do a lot of like camera stuff that you probably would be a lot harder to do with real people, and it's a quite terrifying movie. It's legitimately as scary as anything that came out in that time. Darren Aronofsky loves this movie so much. He bought the rights to it just so he could mimic shots from it. I don't know if you guys have seen Requiem for a Dream. There's a shot with Jennifer Connelly in a bathtub, and she screams into the bathtub. That is directly lifted from this movie. There are shots from Black Swan where Natalie Portman is like turning in a mirror and like her image doesn't move. Like that is lifted from this. Highly recommend this movie. It holds up so well.
Nice.
It's called Perfect Blue. And again, it's only about like 65, 70 minutes long. So it's a short watch.
All right. I'm adding that one to my list because I don't typically care for Aronofsky movies. Like I appreciate what he does. They're just never really like my thing.
Yeah.
But technically, I mean, he's an incredible filmmaker. I respect a lot of what he does, so I'll definitely check that out.
Yeah.
I can go through a couple of mine too, just to keep things cooking. I watched Dracula Untold for the first time with Luke Evans.
Yeah.
And I was like surprisingly really impressed with this movie.
Yeah.
It's weird, man. It's like Captain America: The First Avenger, but with Dracula. And I mean, I love Captain America: The First Avenger. It's one of my favorite MCU movies, and so like this movie, this template, I mean, it's from 2014, so I'm gonna spoil it. I mean, the end where it's like, oh, we're gonna flash forward to modern time, and he's gonna be like lovesick about the love that he lost. I'm like, oh my god, this is like Marvel could have sued for plagiarism. But that being said, I just loved it so much. It was a fun like horror fantasy medieval movie. He can like Luke Evans as Dracula can command bats and like conjure up an army of bats.
Yeah, he's
and
a superhero.
So like they're like really cool sequences where he's just turning into a bunch of bats, flying through and like killing entire armies. And then like the bats come together and he's just this guy in the middle of a bunch of like fallen bodies. And just visually it's so cool and so unique with what it's doing with Dracula that I had a blast with it. It's not great by like if you're looking at it from a critical perspective, you're going to find a lot to poke holes in, but the movie's so much fun that I don't care. It was a blast. So, yeah.
Yeah, I watched that one in the theater, and I'm a fan. I haven't rewatched it since then, but I'll champion Dracula Untold. Yeah.
Yeah, it'd be cool on a big screen. And then I did a few rewatches of movies. Just with Scream having come out and me really just liking that movie more than you two did. But like it just got me really interested in revisiting this movie, The Babysitter Killer Queen, which stars Jenna Ortega, who is incredible in the new Scream. And I remember when The Babysitter Killer Queen came out, like them not bringing back Samara Weaving was I don't know if that's like a big thing. And then of course they did bring her back for like a cameo, but she was the main draw of the original movie for me. Her performance was incredible. And I just remember watching the second one and feeling like it was lacking something. It played so much better for me on a rewatch. It still follows a lot of the same beats as the first one, but adding in the different characters, especially Jenna Ortega's character, is just like a shot of energy in this movie. She's allowed to get like really kind of weird here. Like her first scene, I forgot how freaking weird she is. She comes into the school, like she comes into the class, she's introduced, and then for no reason, she just lets out this high-pitched scream for like a good 15 seconds and then goes and just sits down. And just like, it's just this weird offbeat performance that I just, on a rewatch, it just worked so much better for me. And yeah, I think I might have actually, if I would have rewatched The Babysitter Killer Queen before making my best of 2020, it might have actually ended up on my best of 2020. Because yeah, I just liked it a lot better second time around. Yeah, and then I rewatched Stay Alive, the killer video game from 2005 with Frankie Muniz and his sideways visor, and all the like really dated PS2 references and the PS2 graphics and all of the horror scenes. This movie is not good, guys. It's a pure nostalgia watch for me. This was one of the first horror movies I remember seeing at like a friend's house, and I kind of became obsessed with it for a while. I watched this movie a lot in like middle school and early high school. It doesn't hold up, but I still have fun watching it every once in a while. Yeah, it's bad, but if you ever get curious, I don't know, just don't pay for it. Just ask me for the DVD and I'll lend it to you.
Appreciate that.
I might have to take you up on that, Sam. Jimmy Simpson is in this, and I love some Jimmy Simpson.
Yeah,
I like him a lot.
Yeah,
his death is awful. It's one of the worst visual effects I've ever seen put to.
Is he like at least in it enough to be like, oh yeah, this is pretty cool that Jimmy Simpson's in this movie?
Oh yeah, he's in it. He's in it quite a bit. This is also like the only like full on horror slasher movie that Disney ever put out. Like this is a Disney owned movie. Like before Disney bought like Fox and all this, like Disney was the company fronting the money for this movie, which is just insane to me.
Well, it's done by our favorite boy, William Brent Bell.
Yes.
Who would go on to do The Boy, Separation, and
The Devil
Inside. So if that's ranking this movie up against anything, I guess I know what to expect.
Yeah, I will say that it's better than all of those movies except for The Boy. That's not saying much, but yeah. So that was my kind of quick round.
Okay, I'll go with a quick round because there's not really much to say on these. I decided, since Tubi has a full moon section on Tubi, to start watching a few full moons I've never seen. One that has always intrigued me is the Doll Man movies. So I watched Doll Man and Doll Man versus Demonic Toys. Doll Man is actually a really fun sci-fi horror-esque movie of this man who finds his way from a different planet dimension, except that on his planet he is about the size of a doll in terms of what our planet is. So when he comes here, he comes in this little like toy spaceship, and has to go up against this rival gang, led by a very young Jackie Earle Haley, who is pretty fun in this movie.
Nice.
Yeah, I would recommend this. This is one of the full moon movies where it's like, oh, they actually put a little money into this, and we're trying to make a movie with a beginning, middle, and end with some characters and actually some fun direction going on. And then Doll Man versus Demonic Toys happens, which starts to lean into like modern day full moon, where it's like, yeah, let's just show recycled footage from previous movies and then a little bit of footage. At least for this one, it's like 80% new footage, 20% recycled footage, whereas modern ones are kind of flipped of 2080 the other way. So this has obviously Doll Man versus the Demonic Toys, which I'm more of a Demonic Toys fan than Puppet Master. I don't know if you guys have seen either of those series.
I've seen some Puppet Master. I haven't seen any Demonic Toys.
Demonic Toys was kind of like Doll Man. It only got one. It got this movie and then a sequel, and it fights Puppet Master. So, but the sequel came out like 20 years later or something like that. The first one's pretty fun. It's kind of more of a knockoff Child's Play than Puppet Master. But Doll Man versus Demonic Toys, like the last 40 minutes gives you like what you came to see. Doll Man fighting demonic toys. It's fun. And apparently it's another full moon movie. There's a third one thrown in here too for this Avengers style crossover, which I've never heard of, about this woman that gets shrunk to the size of a doll man, and she's the love interest of the movie. Yeah, and they show flashbacks to that too. At least it showed those, because I had no idea what this movie was and I had never heard of it before, and it's not even in the title. But
That's
it was
hilarious.
if you're looking for a fun like throwback double feature, yeah, Doll Man and Doll Man versus Demonic Toys. Why not? And then another one I watched for the first time, and I've been trying to get Sam to watch this one. I watched the 1990 horror film Highway to Hell.
Yes. Oh yeah, I haven't watched this yet. I need to.
This movie is so much fun. I came across it a couple of ways. First of all, it stars CJ Graham, who will be coming to Sioux Falls for SuperCon, and known for playing Jason in Part 6, aka the best Jason. He plays the Hell Cop in this movie. Basic premise is this pizza delivery guy, played by Rob Lowe's brother, Chad Lowe. I had to look it up. He is literally just blonde Rob Lowe. And his girlfriend are running away to Vegas to get hitched in his pizza delivery car. But along the way, they go down this kind of abandoned highway and get pulled over by Hell Cop. Hell Cop takes his soon-to-be wife and arrests her and brings her into hell. So he has to gear up and go into hell, and has 24 hours to save her. And hell is just the desert, because they didn't have enough money to like go into hell. But
Which
it's
is fair.
Which is fair. It looks cool. Does enough with it. Has fun characters that you meet along the way, including some people you would probably expect to see in hell. One being, I don't want to spoil some of these cameos if Sam doesn't know, but there are faces you will recognize. There's one person I know I've already mentioned, so I'll bring him up. There's another one I haven't yet that you're gonna dig, but Ben Stiller's in this movie doing his best Pauly Shore impression from the early 90s. And Sam, I have a feeling like he's gonna be your new favorite horror character, side character. Yeah, tons of faces that pop up aside from Mr. Ben Stiller in this movie. Yeah, this movie's fun, insane, kind of a forgotten gem of 90s horror. Highly recommend. And CJ is really great as the Hell Cop. Like, he's a menacing presence. And one of my favorite practical effects of like any movie that no one talks about is his Hell Cop handcuffs, which are literally hands that clamp over people's wrists, and it's all animatronic. It's incredible,
cool, man.
It's incredible.
Yeah,
I'm looking forward to watching that.
I think you're gonna like it a
lot. Yeah. Okay. So my next few are I watched Blood Rage, which
it's not cranberry sauce.
You know, this movie is really interesting. Awesome score, great kills, weird people are in it. It's really cheap, but I don't know. The more I thought about it, I didn't like it at first, but the more I thought about it afterwards, I kind of like dug it a little bit. I watched I talked about it with you guys personally. I watched a movie called No Exit on Hulu, which is it's more of like a really violent thriller than it is a horror movie, but it's kind of being, promoted by like Bloody Disgusting and whatnot. I really like that one quite a bit. It's about this girl who's in rehab, escapes because her mother's dying, finds herself in a snowstorm in the mountains, and has to figure out who has kidnapped this young girl. And it's kind of like a whodunit, except it's kind of like she has to figure out who is committing the crime. I really like this a lot. The performances are really good. It kind of goes on autopilot at the end, but the first hour is like really, really great. And then I'm gonna go through a few here. Messiah of Evil fucking rules so hard.
Oh, really? You
Well,
like this?
I tell you what, I'm gonna save that one for later because I watched I watched another movie that is very similar to it. But spoilers, I really liked it. Rewatched The Evil Dead at the Late Night of the State.
Whoop, whoop.
I don't know what else I can say about this. This is a lot of fun. I prefer number 2, which I did not get to see. I finally got to see the new Scream, which I thought was very disappointing. I don't know. I think it's hard to make a movie that is hip and fresh when like it's been done a million times since the original. And I don't know if bringing this back was the right idea. I want to see it again, but I was kind of like I don't know what the point of this is. So I just don't know what the impetus is of doing this series where it's like, oh, now we're doing like requels and prequels, and I just don't know what like they're trying to accomplish with this. And it just like the original Scream, and to the lesser extent the sequels were like very fresh takes on horror movies and sequels, and this one I just didn't think was doing anything new. And I'm like, there's one character who we all love who is finally killed. That whole thing is great because the killer's like, it was an honor, which I thought was a really brutal thing to say to somebody when you get killed. I just thought everything around that was like really dull and boring, and like I guess the one cool meta thing was like there's a lot of like a lot of Wes Craven like celebration, but
I didn't like the shrine to Jamie Kennedy.
I really thought this was a huge missed opportunity. And maybe not even that. I just felt like this was just really unnecessary.
Did you feel like it kind of retreaded too much of what 4 did 10 years earlier?
No, I don't think so. No,
that was my biggest problem.
I just
4 kind of did what you guys are saying in this.
I really think this misses Wes Craven. I just think this isn't as well made. It feels like a $10 million direct to video horror movie, and I don't know. I'm very disappointed with this movie. Like very disappointed with this movie. So
interesting.
Yeah, I don't know why you bring back Neve Campbell and Courtney Cox when like you use them for like 15 minutes. I don't like, for me, like you either bring them in and they are the main focus, or you don't bring them in at all. And I just I don't know. I just don't know why you bring them in. Like it just it felt really
have a
cheap.
purpose.
Exactly. It's just like, oh, they come in to like teach the new kids what to do, and then like they don't really do anything. And I don't know. And I love Neve Campbell. Like she's like the ultimate scream queen for me. But like it's pointless that she's here. Like I don't get it.
Yeah.
And I love, like I think Radio Silence were the right guys to do this, but maybe you just don't do this. And I'm just mildly excited for the new one now, the next one. It's just kind of like, all right, well, if we're going to keep going, I'm going to keep showing up. But I don't know. This is really just disappointing. I'm sorry. Like, I just did not like this movie at all. So I will say the sequence where, is it Logan Lerman? Is that his name? Or
no, Dylan Minnette. Are you talking the kid in the shower?
Yes. The whole sequence where he's being stalked is great. There's great stuff in this. It's just like you open the movie the same way as the first one, but you can't, like, even the rest of the original Scream isn't as good as the opening of Scream is. So why are you doing the opening of Scream again? It just doesn't make sense to me. So I know you love this, Sam. I'm sorry. Love is a strong word.
I agree with everything you're saying here. Like I have my issues with this movie. It hovers right around a 3.5. I think I bumped it up to 4 on one of my rewatches, but I'm back to a 3.5. Like it's a frustrating watch because I feel like there are kernels of something new that they're doing, but it falls into the traps of the thing it's trying to be meta about a little bit too much for me.
It just didn't work for me. Like Casey, you said something about Slumber Party Massacre doing what this does a lot better, and I agree with that. That movie took like the tropes of the original and like subverted them, and it just like that was way more successful. I mean, I like that movie more than this one, and I didn't even like that movie.
Yeah.
So, anyway, I've rambled too much about this. I just did not like this movie. So, and then did you guys all watch Fresh so we can talk about it or not?
I watched Fresh.
I didn't yet.
Oh my god, this movie is so good,
dude. This movie, like, I mean,
my god.
I know this is like our finale, but we like in January, the three of us should literally just record, even if it's just for whatever, just like putting it up.
Yeah,
we need
I'm
to
fine
record
coming
a top 10, just because like I love doing those. I love hearing your guys' top 10s, and when we do that, I guarantee you, Fresh is gonna be in my fucking top 5.
Yeah,
I do not see anything knocking this movie out of top tier for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fucking incredible.
I won't say too much, but Fresh is exactly what it is. It's a fresh movie. Although I will say it sort of feels like someone saw Get Out and was like, "Oh, I have an idea for a movie." But yeah, I mean, basically, this guy.
There were parts of it that gave me Martyrs vibes too.
Okay, I could see that too.
Like,
yeah, sure.
I was kind of like right after the title card. Like right after the title card drops,
halfway through the movie.
Yeah, like a whole 35 minutes in when the title card drops.
Yeah,
that next scene, I'm like, oh no, no.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, the basic premise is this woman's having a hard time finding, like a date, or she's dating. Life sucks. She ends up meeting Sebastian Stan, who I don't think has ever been better than in this movie. And they meet at a grocery store.
Yeah.
They exchange numbers. They end up meeting, and he's just so charming, and she likes him. And then he's like, "Hey, want to go away for the weekend? I got this place up by wherever." And she's like, "Yeah." And of course, it doesn't really work out the way she wants it to. It's just, I think this movie, like it kind of like another movie, the other movie I thought like goes on autopilot. However, like I think the performances are so good, and there's like these sequences, like these montage sequences where like the musical choices that they pick are like so really cool and out of left field. And I love it when songs are picked that are like left field picks that are like they're like you're seeing something really disgusting, but like it's uplifting music. I love stuff like that. This movie has plenty of that. And then the movie just turns into a gore fest at the end, and I really just had a blast watching this. I watched this with my wife, and she was just like, "What the fuck is this?" And whenever I get that reaction, it goes up a star in my book. So, in case you got to watch this, it's on Hulu. It is a breath of fresh air. Even though the plot is a little similar to other stuff, it feels invigorated. It feels alive. I would say for the first 50 minutes, you just have no idea where it's going, and I really appreciated that. So
yeah, it's unpredictable. It's got a lot of wild twists, and that third act, like you said, it explodes into just this bloody, gruesome third act. There are practical effects in this that
oh my god,
this is this is so good. Like,
it's really disgusting.
There's like this kitchen montage halfway through.
Oh yeah.
It's just like one of the most stomach turning things, and it's Sebastian Stan is just like, oh my god, yeah, he's electric in this role. This is by far my favorite thing I've seen him in.
He is excellent in this. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyways, we're not saying a lot because you got like the twisting of the story is what makes the most fun.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, absolutely. Casey, when you watch this, like, you're gonna have to text us.
I'll let you guys know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Fresh is incredible.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
I
can do.
I was gonna say, do you have some? Otherwise, I can rattle through like 5 of them quick that I have.
I've got like 4 more, so I can rattle off a couple. Yeah.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Go for it. Steer this ship.
So I know I've seen and I've talked about Phantom of the Mall, Eric's Revenge on this podcast before, but
it wouldn't be
a
final episode without it.
But I watched it 6 more times since then, and
only twice. Well, like I'd watched the shitty like YouTube rip, right? Because up until that point, that
did
was
you
the
buy
only
the
time
Scream
place you
Factory,
could get
Sam?
it. I bought the Arrow, like I bought it digitally on Apple.
Oh,
because
okay.
Arrow Video had that sale where like all their movies were $3.
Yep.
And I was like, well, yeah, I'm gonna pick this up, and I picked up a few more that I haven't watched yet, but I'm excited to. And watching this like actually in high definition video where you can actually see things and it's been restored, and like the gore isn't like cut out, like God, it just made me love this movie more. It's cheesy as all hell. It's not good, but like as an 80s slasher version of Phantom of the Opera, you get exactly what you would expect from that. Pauly Shore is hilarious in this. You see Pauly Shore's ass in this movie.
Yeah.
So if you want to see Pauly Shore's ass, Phantom of the Mall, Eric's Revenge is the movie for you.
Hell yeah.
Every movie should have Pauly Shore's ass.
Yeah, exactly. And so yeah, there's a great eyeball gag in the middle of this movie that cracks me up. And there's also a lot of very like steamy, erotic scenes that I was watching this on a plane to Arizona. It downloaded it, and the whole time I'm like kind of like, God, I hope no one's like looking like in the seat behind me looking over my shoulder, because like I probably look like a freaking weirdo right now. But yeah, I had a blast. It was a great plane movie.
Nice.
And then watched for the first time since I watched Frankenhooker, and I loved that, and you guys were like, oh, you should check out more Henenlotter stuff.
I should say I did watch that. I forgot that I that was earlier my thing, but I somehow missed it. But go ahead, sorry.
Yeah. Well, you guys know I love Frankenhooker. Frankenhooker's still my favorite Frank Henenlotter movie, but I watched Basket Case, and it is delightful. I loved it. That is it's just, oh God, I don't even know what to say about it. I don't know. It made me appreciate Malignant even more after watching Basket Case. It's great. I don't know what else to say about it. It's grimy, it's sleazy, it's romantic, it's kind of heartfelt. Like I felt actual emotions throughout this movie, which is not something I was expecting. The ending is actually kind of melancholy and sad, and I just wasn't expecting like the emotional pathos and the compassion that this movie showcased for its 2 lead characters. I don't know. It was a wonderful surprise. I'm glad I watched it, and it'll definitely be one that I probably rewatch obsessively. Yeah. So that was I dug Basket Case. Yeah.
Do you have any more?
Yeah. Do you want me to just do my last 2?
Sure.
Yeah. Okay. Fresh off of Scream, I decided there was renewed interest in this movie on Twitter, and I've had it forever, and it just got added on Shudder, so I'm like, it's a sign I should watch it. I finally watched Tragedy Girls.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh man, this movie got me. I wasn't expecting what this movie was. I knew the premise. I still was not expecting how dark of a comedy this movie is. Like there are scenes in this movie, like every kill is fun, but it also puts a pit in your stomach. Like the violence in this movie is so disturbing, and the flippant and casual nature of the characters perpetrating the violence in this movie are insane. I mean, have you guys both seen this? I know Casey, you have. You haven't? Okay. So this movie is like it's about two high school girls who run like a true crime type of social media page. And essentially what they do is they kidnap a serial killer, like a slasher serial killer who's been going around killing teens, and they start killing people themselves to control the media narrative around this. Like, and planning to eventually have this guy that they have locked up take the fall. And it's got Jack Quaid in it. Brianna, can't remember her last name. She's from Deadpool. She was Negasonic Teenage Warhead. Hildebrand, that's what it is. And then Alexandra Shipp are the two leads in this, and they are unhinged. They are disturbing. Their performances are just... This movie reminded me a little bit of Thoroughbreds. Have you guys seen that one? With Anton Yelchin? Yeah. Very similar in the fact that it's about like these two like kind of social outcasts that you know, one of them's maybe a little bit more of a sociopath than the other. And it just, God, the way it's portrayed and the way the dynamics shift throughout this movie is incredible. Like I said, there's some real like stomach turning stuff here. Especially in the third act. And I dug this. I'm a little bummed that it took me this long to watch it, because hot damn, this is one of my favorite slashers I've seen in quite some time.
There's a great Craig Robinson scene.
Yes. Oh God, yeah.
Involving Craig Robinson in a gym involving the two girls. I think that's all we should leave it at.
Yeah. Yep. It's nuts. It's wild, and it's brutal, and it's, oh God, it's nuts. Tragedy Girls gets my highest recommendation. I was blown away by it, and I watched it at like 8 a.m, which was not. It's not a movie to watch at 8 a.m. It puts you in a weird headspace for the rest of the day. But yeah. And then my final recent watch, I rented the Foo Fighters horror comedy Studio 666, which, yeah, this is a weird movie to talk about now. Rest in peace, Taylor Hawkins. You're the man. I miss you already. Studio 666 is a fucking blast, though. This movie is essentially like Dave Grohl meets the Evil Dead. You know, there's even like a Necronomicon type book in it. It dabbles in a bunch of different subgenres. It's like kind of haunted house. It's kind of possession. It's kind of a slasher, and it's kind of satanic cult stuff. Like there's just it throws everything into the kitchen sink into this movie. And it's maybe a little too long. Like you could have shaved a good 20 minutes to a half an hour off of this, because it's like an hour and 40 minutes. And it could easily be trimmed down to like 70. The third act is where it loses some of its steam. It just doesn't know when to end. It's kind of got that Lord of the Rings Return of the King vibe, where it's like, oh, this is where we're still going type of thing. But that being said, it was never anything less than entertaining. The band are not professional actors, but they're clearly having fun doing what they do. Pat Smear cannot help but smile in every scene he's in, even when he's acting scared and running away from a possessed Dave Grohl, which is just, I don't know. If you're a fan of the Foo Fighters and you're a fan of like cheesy, gory B movies, this is going to be right up your alley. It was right up mine. I watched it twice in my rental period, because like it got to be the last day. I had like 6 hours left, and I'm just like, I know I'm going to want to watch this again. I'm just going to watch it now, because like I'm not going to spend another $20, and I still want to watch it again. And I've still been hovering over that another $20 rental, but I'm just like, no, wait until it's available to buy. This movie was very much up my alley, though. And I know, Casey, you're a big Foo Fighters fan, so you're probably going to dig this. Yeah, some extremely gory kills. It has Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Studio 666 has the best chainsaw death of the year so far. It's incredible. Yeah. I highly recommend Studio 666. It's a banger. It's got some cool music. It lets the Foo Fighters be like, they released a whole death metal, like, or not death metal, but like thrash metal album under Dream Widow, the fictional band in the movie. And yeah, it's fun. It actually reminded me a little bit of like a William Castle movie if he had been making movies in like the late 80s, early 90s in that era. Because it gives you those William Castle vibes, but it's definitely also like a stoner comedy from like that era. So it's fun.
This is one
I recommend a little bit of this before you watch it because it makes it even better.
This is one we missed in the theaters, but it was like I think the last day, and I was like, all right, this is our last chance to watch it in the theaters. Like, should we go or just wait? And Kayla's like, you already know I'm gonna buy this movie as soon as it comes out. We might as well just wait. So we're gonna wait till the Blu-ray comes out because it will be a instant purchase from Kayla, a massive Foo Fighters fan. I think I'll enjoy the hell out of the horror stuff and the foos in this movie. I'm excited to watch it.
It's cheesy. It's a big dumb
the Foo
cheesy
Fighters
movie
in a horror movie. I mean, I don't know what you would expect from it.
I know people that are like, they can't act. I'm like, well, yeah, what did you expect? You've seen their music videos. Like, that's essentially what it is.
I don't know. I saw Dave Grohl act at the end of Tenacious D in The Pick of Destiny. So
he's definitely the best one in this. He's got some comedic chops. Like he has a scene with Taylor Hawkins where like the whole band knows he's like possessed at this point, and like he's trying to tiptoe around Dave, and like the way they're playing off of each other is so much fun, and like Dave's like twirling his hair like that. It's just it's weird. It's fun. It's good. I liked it a lot.
I'll rattle off the rest of my list quickly. First of all, since you're talking about like movies involving, the devil and satanic stuff, this is a recommendation from Blake. Jerusalem, which is a found footage horror movie, kind of came out in the later period of that boom. I need to rewatch this. We had friends over and they were talking while watching it. Damn people talking during the movie, but that's okay. I didn't love it, but I was also only half paying attention to the movie. I thought it's a very interesting premise more than anything, and I think that's what I love about like most of the found footage movies from that era is like all of them have a pretty cool premise of what they're going for within found footage. So looking forward to rewatching that. I'll probably do like that and As Above, So Below double feature to give both another shot.
Yeah, I saw that in theaters.
As Above, So Below.
Yeah,
so did I. I didn't like it, and I think I just need to rewatch it.
I liked it a lot, actually. Anyway,
I'll rattle off some another streaming one that I would recommend. I don't know if you've seen this yet, Sam. It's the Boris Karloff documentary on Shudder, The Man Behind the Monster.
I have watched that. Yeah,
it's a really good deep dive into like the man Boris Karloff. It's more of like a PBS documentary than it is like it's kind of just your History Channel informational dive. I think it's a really good documentary though if you want to learn more about Karloff.
It is. If you're a Karloff fan, it's an essential for sure. I must not have logged it on Letterboxd because it wasn't my first meet, but yeah. I've been throwing that on in the background, like when I'm doing other stuff, just because, I mean, it's a lot of Karloff's voice too, like old interview clips and archive footage. And I've just always found like Karloff's voice to be very like soothing. And so that's why I love him so much is I put on Boris Karloff movies in the background all the time, just because I love the cadence and the sound of his voice. So yeah. I really dig this documentary. I've had it on quite a bit recently.
Boris Karloff, Man Behind the Monster on Shudder. I have my State Theater ones. Evil Dead 1 and 2. Obviously, there's two of my favorite
They're
horror
both
movies of all
incredible.
time to see on the big screen. I loved it. It's so much fun. Both for me, five out of 5 for different reasons for both movies. But like Blake, I'm Evil Dead 2 is like the one I'm gonna rewatch more than the
That's
first.
funny.
But
I feel
the first is incredible. It's just I have more fun with like looking forward to certain things in the Evil Dead 2 where I'm like, yeah, I'm just waiting for him to fight the hand, and then I'm waiting for the deer head on the wall.
I like it because it's where Ash becomes Ash.
Yeah, I agree with that. There's just something about the first one that edges it out for me.
It's scary.
There's like
it's
that
DIY
DIY spirit. It is. It's terrifying.
Yeah,
I love the gore effects in it. So I think for me, the first Evil Dead kind of edges out the second one. But yeah, to me, both of them are 5 out of 5 bangers. I love them. It was great to see him at the State.
The other State Theater I have, My Bloody Valentine. That was so much fun to watch late night at the State. For that, maybe one of my top 5 favorite slashers of all time to watch that on the big screen with. I don't know. It was a decent crowd for My Bloody Valentine. It was fun to watch with a group, and it was fun to hear the Ballad of Harry Warden on the big screen.
I hope they do that one again in another couple of years because I'm so upset that I missed that one.
If they do, it does need to be the unrated cut that we all watched together. Because I watched it obviously in closer proximity than before. You can notice that a lot is missing out of the movie.
Yeah. Steven, if you're looking for the uncut version, I have it on Blu-ray. Just hit me up. I know you're listening right now, so.
One more that sort of relates to the State Theater is right before Thomas Ian Nicholas was here for American Pie. I rewatched Halloween Resurrection because I hadn't seen it in a while. I'm like, I don't remember him in that very much. He's fun. That movie's if it was a Friday the 13th movie, it might be one of my favorite Friday the 13th movies. But the fact that it's a Halloween movie is, I think, why people hate it. Because I think premise-wise, I'm like, this is a fun premise for a slasher movie where you're locked in the slasher's house during a live stream and he's coming to get you. I'm like, that's a very cool premise. Done in 2002. Like, that's a 2022 premise. That's not a 2002 premise. It's just the fact that it's a Michael Myers movie with Busta Rhymes kicking him in the face saying, "Trick or treat, motherfucker."
Best part.
Which is one of the best lines ever put to film. Yeah, I didn't hate it. It's just, it's easily the weakest of the Halloween original series for sure.
That's a good way of putting it. Like, I don't hate it either, but it's just not the one that you're going to throw on.
No.
Unless Tom and Ian Nicholas is coming.
Yeah. And he's fun in the movie. It has that era of people, and it was cool to see, like, I don't know. I like seeing people early on in their careers doing a horror movie because it's like, well, I haven't done a horror movie yet type of thing. I always like to see people pop in. But last two, I think would make a great double feature. One is a movie I wish I watched before, like, all of our end of the year stuff, Guillermo del Toro's Nightmare Alley, because I loved this movie. This is like if I went back to our Schmuckies nominations for Backlot, I would have nominated this in like every category I could have. I was blown away by this movie. I also just love del Toro. I love the premise of this movie and the setting of it. You know, being set on the circus during the 1930s. Like, that's such a great time and era, and it has such a vibe to it that I'm clicking with. I'm excited to watch the black and white version if it ever comes out, because I think that's probably the best way to watch this movie. Even though I did watch it in color, it just feels like, yeah, this should be a black and white movie. Performances in this movie are incredible. Bradley Cooper is really great in this. Kind of surprised no one's talking about Bradley Cooper. Is it Kate Mara?
Rooney Mara.
Rooney Mara.
Rooney Mara, yeah.
Rooney Mara's in this. She's great. There's a shot in the third act of this movie that's like just ripped out of like the Guillermo del Toro handbook.
Yep.
And it's like, this is like a peak del Toro shot, just the way it's framed and everything is set up. And like, yeah, this is something out of his monster handbook right here. Nice. Even though there's no monsters in this movie.
Not true.
Well, not traditional. There's no fishman fucking people in this movie.
They could have used fishman fucking people in this movie. But.
It could have. I would have been for it. But a movie that was always in my mind while watching it because I had never seen it before, and it was always like this would pair well with Nightmare Alley. Is 1932's Freaks, which I watched for the first time. It's a lean like hour-long movie from director Todd Browning, who did Dracula, the 31 version with Lugosi. I like Freaks much better than I do his Dracula. I think it does a pretty good job, especially for being almost 100 years old now at this point. Of portraying the characters in this movie, where it takes these people with deformities and abnormalities, and they're the circus characters, but they're really the heroes of this story, the ones we're rooting for. And again, it's the normal human beings that are treating them horribly. Those are the real monsters of this movie, and I think this movie does a really good job of that. And I think the gentleman who plays the dwarf character, who he was also in Wizard of Oz, I guess. He's the lead of this movie and like falls for the female love interest who like she colludes with another man to kind of take all of the money, possessions, power that Hans, the dwarf has. And he's really great in this movie. Like, I think he's doing really great acting in this. So highly recommend Freaks. It has kind of the stuff you would expect knowing going in, has a really great vibe to it. Like I said, with that 1930s circus culture that is also in Nightmare Alley. So yeah, I really liked Freaks. I'm excited to watch it again.
Cool.
I have that one on DVD. I have not put it in yet. It came with like a 4-pack of like some other ones. The Haunting was one of them, and I want to say House of Wax. Yeah, the Vincent Price one. So yeah, it's a weird little collection.
Interesting 4-pack. Yeah.
Yeah, it's the only one out of the 4 that I haven't watched yet. So I'll have to check it out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I guess I'll wrap up mine. I have 3 left. I rewatched Lake Placid.
Oh God, I love this movie.
I kind of hate it actually.
Really?
I think it's just fucking stupid.
It is.
First of all, I
love it.
I don't like Betty White at all. So I kind of think she's not really. I don't know. She's just. I don't like her in this. I thought like some of the. I thought like
this
a lot
is
of
why we're ending SlashLot. Because of fucking Betty White slander.
No, I've never liked Betty White. But that's another show.
That's a fuego take, my friend. Jesus.
Listen. I do not wish death upon people. I was sad when she passed away. I've just never understood the love for her. I don't get it. But that's fine.
I think I'm right in the middle where I'm like, I like Betty White and Lake Placid, but I'm like, why is she on this pedestal of like?
I don't know. I don't get it. Anyways,
she's incredible.
I think the dialogue is a lot of fun, and the cast delivers it well. I give it credit. This movie's only like 75 minutes long. It zips by. I think it's just really dumb. I don't know. It's a stupid movie. I brought up Messiah of Evil earlier, and the reason why I saved it was because I watched another movie that's heavily inspired by it. Messiah of Evil, it's a weird little movie. The first like 45 minutes, I'm kind of like, I don't even know what's really going on here. This woman goes to this beach town to find her dad who's missing, and she ends up meeting like this really rich guy with his girlfriend, and it's this weird like hippie movie for the first 50 minutes, and then it gets like really creepy. The possessed town people who are like zombies or not zombies, I don't even know, are killing people and eating them. There's a incredible sequence in this movie theater where this woman goes to see a movie, and like slowly, like one by one, these possessed people fill the theater, and then she realizes that she's alone, and she tries to escape, and she turns around, and all of them are staring at her, and it's just really well done. I love the ending. It kind of ends a little ambiguously, but also like kind of tragic as well. Um, I sort of like watching it, and I was really out on the movie, and then the last like 45 minutes really brought me back. I thought there was like a lot of great filmmaking in it. Just really creeped me out. The last movie I'll talk about is a 2022 movie. It's called Off Season. Heavily inspired by Messiah of Evil. I
Hopefully
truly
better. I did
I
not like
tr-
Messiah of Evil.
I,
I watched it on the Elvira special. It was not my thing.
yeah, it's about as plotless as Messiah of Evil is. It's about this woman who her mother passes away, and I think she has like Alzheimer's at the end of her life. Um, and she tells her daughter specifically, like, I do not want to be buried in this town. Whatever you do, don't let me be buried here. She gets notice that her mother's passed away, and in her will, it says that she wants to be buried in this town. So she goes to figure out what's going on. It's this town it's in Florida, and they shut down for winter because of it's colder weather. They get storms, so she goes there on, of course, the last day they're open. And when she goes to leave, she goes through like these weird predicaments where like she's unable to, and she finds out that the town is trying to keep her there. She doesn't know why, and these people are kind of possessed, and I don't want to ruin what happens because it goes into like other like subgenres that are like really, really, really fucking cool. And the last like 45 minutes of this movie is just this woman running through the town with like wind and rain and like weird music and fog and like heavier fog, and like people are chasing her, and she's going in and out of these buildings that are unoccupied. Like one of the buildings has like all these like mannequins in it, and so like the way it's framed, it's like they're moving but they're not. It's just super creepy. um Kind of has like underwater vibes at the end of the movie, which I don't want to spoil too much. I This is a movie made for me. I fucking love this movie. It's like I said, it's just a woman running around a town for 45 minutes with weird shit happening. It gets like a little like Invasion of the Body Snatchers at one point. I don't know. I love this. I had a blast with it. Did you watch it, Casey?
I haven't watched it yet. I've heard you praise it, and I've heard a lot of people talk about it online too. It has Jocelyn Donahue from House of the Devil and Doctor Sleep, and I'm like, she should be in more things.
She's the main star. Joe Swanberger plays her husband, and Richard Brake has a small performance in it as well. And I looked up Jocelyn Donahue, and she's pretty much like a modern day, scream queen. She does a lot of horror stuff. I really, really dug this a lot. This is more like atmosphere, mood than like story. So don't go in like expecting this like, like great tale of whatever. Like this is all mood, atmosphere, rain, wind. Works best if you have a surround sound system because like the rain's all around you and the wind's bustling and like I said, lots of fog. It's just it's someone went into my brain and was like, okay, I got you. So yeah.
Nice.
Sam, this sounds like a theater room movie.
Yeah, I think so too. That sounds very intriguing. I'm in.
Yeah. That's it. That's all I got.
Sweet. Well, do we want to go into like cliffhanger ending where we talk about all the movies that we're excited for.
I only got one, so we can do it.
Okay.
I don't have much to say. I was just gonna rattle off a bunch that I'm excited for because
that's kind of what I was
we
gonna
haven't
do too.
Okay, perfect.
Blake, what's your one?
Yeah. Okay, so
one and done.
one and done. I'm, as I said earlier, I'm a huge David Cronenberg fan. I kind of wasn't like, as we're getting into like the later part of his life, I think he's pushing 80 years old now, and his son is sort of taking over the mantle of the Cronenberg name. But he is doing another movie. It's called Crimes of the Future. I don't really know anything about it. All I know is that like Léa Seydoux is in it. Kristen Stewart is in it.
I was about to say, yeah.
Also has Viggo Mortensen, who, for my money, has been in 3 of the best David Cronenberg movies: A History of Violence, Eastern Promises, and A Dangerous Method. So I'm really excited to see them back together. I mean, like, David Cronenberg is that guy who like is able to combine horror with, the physical body and the morphing of that. He's moved away from that in his latter part of his career, but I'm really excited to see what he does as he gets older. David Cronenberg was recently photographed in the past couple of years at like his granddaughter's birthday party with him wearing like a birthday hat, and I love that imagery of like this dude who like fucks up bodies, like blowing out candles with his like 6-year-old granddaughter. So excited to see him back behind the camera doing maybe one last movie. And as Casey and I discovered earlier, it's maybe an hour long. So I don't know if I believe that, but his movies are generally never longer than 90 minutes anyways. So I'm pretty excited to have one of the grandfathers of horror back doing possibly one last opus.
Yeah, absolutely. I like Cronenberg. I'm excited to see what that is. The cast has me very intrigued.
Yeah, incredible
cast. I'm a big Kay Stu fan, so like anything she does, my butt's gonna be in a seat.
Yeah. And like I feel like Kristen Stewart and also Léa Seydoux, who I think is one of the world's best actresses right now, they could be doing like one of them just did James Bond, and the other ones, obviously doing lots of big work. Like they could like say no to this and do bigger movies, but like they're doing a David Cronenberg movie. I think that's just incredible.
Yeah, absolutely.
Should we rattle some off? I'm going to start off with one that I don't think you guys will have. Comes out this weekend. Morbius, starring Jared Leto.
Yeah, get the fuck out of here with that shit.
As the Marvel Comics vampire. I am so excited for this movie. It's going to be god awful, and I can't wait to have a big bucket of popcorn and just eat up this terrible Sony Marvel movie. I think it's going to be everything I want it to be and don't want it to be, and that for some reason excites me.
I was more excited for this before I saw Venom with Carnage, and then I was like, no, I like the first Venom. I did not like the second one, and this one just Morbius. I'm going in with an open mind, but goddamn, I don't know. I don't like Jared Leto either. So
yeah, no one does.
I actually love Jared Leto, so please, so don't. Yeah.
Yeah, well, you don't like Betty White, Blake. So.
No. Listen, I didn't kill Betty White just because I didn't like her. Doesn't mean I wanted her to die. Okay?
Jared Leto might have. But...
Have you guys seen House of Gucci? Like, Jared Leto is fucking hilarious in that movie.
I'm salty. Like, no, because The Last Duel should have been the one that was even remotely. Fuck House of Gucci. It's a terrible.
I haven't finished it. It's terrible, but Jared Leto is hilarious in that movie. Anyways,
I like him as a performer, not as a human being.
Yeah.
I would agree with that, but I only like him as a performer sometimes. So,
the other one that I don't think you guys would bring up, Jeepers Creepers, Reborn. I think it's going to sort of be the third in the series. Like they're going to ignore part 3. or part 2 and 3, is for what I've been hearing. He Who Shall Not Be Named will not be a part of this movie at all. I don't think he gets any credits on this movie. Like, they want nothing to do with
Not
him
even
at
like
all.
characters based on or anything like that.
I don't think so. I could be
How
wrong, but I
are they
think
doing
they're trying to wipe him completely away from this franchise, as they should have done a long time ago. I know it's hard for some people to separate art from the artist. I like the first 2 Jeepers Creepers movies quite a bit. 3 is awful, but I like the first 2 quite a bit. I'm excited for it. I'm excited what to do with the character. I think, at least premise wise, if we can get it away from the negative connotations of the series, get it kind of just new creators, new creative team behind the character of Jeepers Creepers and the mythos behind it, because I think it's a great mythos type of horror movie. So I'm excited to see what they do next.
Yeah.
Okay.
No comment. I can't with that franchise anymore, man. Like,
I'm with.
I get it.
I'm with Sam.
So the one that I know that you guys don't have, Firestarter. Any movie that has a John Carpenter score. Oh yeah, that's another thing about Studio 666. John Carpenter did did some of the music for it. And it's crazy. Yeah, and Firestarter has a John Carpenter score. Zac Efron's going into the dad phase of his career. Could not be more excited for Dad Efron. Bring on that era. So yeah, Firestarter. I'm so fucking pumped for that. These two actually right now are slated to come out on the same weekend. There is a Salem's Lot remake. First, like, actual theatrical movie that we're gonna get from that property, which makes me excited. I really like the 79 miniseries. I have not watched the 04 one with Rob Lowe, but I've actually heard it's pretty good. I really love Salem's Lot. It's one of my favorite Stephen King books. I think the 79 miniseries is incredible. I think it's a really good adaptation with some very creepy and haunting imagery. And so I'm just kind of excited to see what they do with a new take, without being shackled by the confines of what they can do with TV. I really hope that they just go for broke with this one. I hope that we get I don't know how you guys feel on the It duology, but I hope we get something in the vein of at least the first one. Because I really love the first one a lot. And I thought it captured the spirit of the King novel, and that's what I'm hoping this new Salem's Lot adaptation does.
I had to look it up. I forgot who was behind it. Gary Doberman. So
yes, yep.
I liked Annabelle Comes Home.
Annabelle Comes Home was a jam, man. So, the other one that comes out that weekend is another novel adaptation. Sorry, we
are professionals here, Sam. He can't hear me anyway.
We are. We're professionals. I'm professional. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So, yeah. Second.
This is why
movie,
we're canceling the show, Sam.
Because I have no equipment.
You have no equipment, and your headphones die.
My headphones always die. Yeah. So, Dark Harvest is the other movie that's coming out that weekend. It's based on a very short novel by a guy called Norman Partridge that I found when I was in about 8th grade. And it's like this coming of age horror story. The mythology is like, in this town, there's the October Boy, which is like a scarecrow who comes into town every Halloween. And any boy who is 16 or older goes out, like the boys between the ages of 16 and 18, they go out and they have to kill the October Boy. And that's the only way that you get out of this town. That's the only way that you can leave town. And there's like a big twist at the end. Like there's a lot of different, like the way the story starts out, you think it's going to go in a different direction than the way that it does. And it's really cool how it flips the expectations of the setup. It's one of my favorite books of all time. I have a signed copy of it, first edition. Like it's one of those like that just means a lot to me. and I've thought for years that they should make a movie, because I think that it's a story that deserves to get seen by a mass audience. I don't know anything about who's behind it. I just know that they're making a movie. I know that it's coming out later this year, and I'm just going to go into it as blind as possible. I don't want to have any preconceived notions about it because I'm already going to have those with the book being so close to it. But yeah, I'm just excited to see what they do because I think it's a really cinematic story that could really make a good October, like fall vibes movie. Like it is a Halloween story through and through, and that's what I love about it. So if they get that like autumnal vibe right in this movie, that's the biggest thing that I'm looking for. And so I'm really excited to see what they do.
I hope they watch To Be Halloween then.
Yeah. To be fair, like Hubie Halloween wouldn't be a bad template for like not necessarily
I'm
with
not
joking.
but
with like background vibe because yeah, exactly.
Sam, do you know who's directing this movie?
Who?
Do you want me to say?
Yeah, do it.
Okay. David Slade, who did Hard Candy,
Ooh,
30 Days a Night.
Oh shit, this is gonna be good. Oh god. I literally wasn't looking it up because I was like, I don't know. I don't want to know if it's like someone who's only done like some really shitty. Like I didn't want it to be like William Brett Bell. You know what I mean? And oh my god, that makes me so happy. Hard Candy, like that tone with this story would be incredible. Yeah, hell yeah, hell yeah.
I'll rattle a few off quickly here. I think the rest of ours are crossover. I think
probably. Well, I have a few that I know you don't, but like, yeah.
First up, The Black Phone, Scott Derrickson, with Ethan Hawke. I don't know anything about the premise. It comes out pretty soon. Yeah. The movie he's doing kind of instead of Doctor Strange 2. So that's cool to see
reteaming with Robert C. Cargill, who wrote Sinister and a bunch of their like early stuff. So, yeah.
Another one I'm very excited for, Jordan Peele's next film, Nope.
Yep.
Seeing him reteam with Daniel Kaluuya. I'm stoked for this. The trailer is pretty insane, and I have no idea what's happening. I think this will be a massive blockbuster from Peele. Huge fan of obviously Get Out and Us, so I'm hoping he continues that trend. I liked Us more than Get Out, so I'm hoping to do the same with this one.
Mm-hmm. Same. I think he's just growing as a filmmaker. Mm-hmm. He's building upon everything that he's done before with everything, and he's a talent that I'm never gonna not be there opening weekend for. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Halloween Ends. I didn't like Halloween Kills, but hey, here's the next one. Obviously, I'm gonna watch it first weekend it comes out. I'm hoping they at least nail the landing on the end of the trilogy. I hope they do something new, interesting with it. I'm expecting it's probably gonna be pretty par for the course for this trilogy, and we're gonna get a rather predictable ending. I'm hoping for a big swing, but maybe they won't give us that. I'm kind of just expecting Jamie Lee Curtis and granddaughter to go up against Michael Myers. Jamie Lee Curtis dies. Granddaughter kills Michael, or they both die together. I don't know. I'm not as excited for this movie.
I was say, don't sound too enthused.
I was about to say that's kind of why I just didn't put it on mine. Like I liked Kills, but I'm also I don't know. They're fine. You know what I mean? Like, and I feel like this next one, it's gonna be fine.
Yeah.
Like I'm sure I'll like have a big rush and a big high like I did right after Halloween Kills, and I'll be like, oh, that was great, and then I'll think about it for a couple days and I'll be like, it was okay, you know, like that's how these have been so far. So
more excited to watch the new Hellraiser movie that's supposed to be coming out this year from David Bruckner. Excited to see what he can do with it. I think he's knocked it out of the park every single time I've seen one of his movies. I haven't watched Night House yet, which I know Blake loved. So yeah, obviously we'll be checking that out before this, but I'm excited for a new Hellraiser. We kind of talked on the main show, I think. Did we talk about? Or maybe that was kind of off air, but this is the first Hellraiser movie in theaters in like 30 years. So
yeah,
I think that at least tells that there's a little bit of confidence behind the movie.
Yeah, for sure. My last two, my first one is the A24 slasher Bodies, Bodies, Bodies. I just heard the words A24 and slasher, and I was like, yeah, I'm in.
Stars former Schmucky winner Maria Bakalova.
Yep. Yeah, the cast in this is like absolutely stacked, and so I'm very excited because who all is? Yeah, Pete Davidson is in this movie. That's enough. Like Pete Davidson's in an A24 slasher. That's it. That's all I needed. It's been getting really good reviews out of like the few screenings that it's had, and so I'm pretty stoked for it. And then the other one is one that I've heard about through people who have been hitting up the film festivals. It's called Slashback, and I've heard it compared to Attack the Block, but it's set in Hawaii on like a reservation, from what I understand. And it sounds interesting. It's like an alien invasion type of movie, I think. I don't know. Details are fuzzy on that one. I'm not a huge fan of Attack the Block, but I like the concept behind it. You know, like I feel like it's one of those movies that has a cool concept and just doesn't quite make the most of it.
It'd be a good short movie.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm looking forward to this because who knows? It might be the movie that I hoped Attack the Block was. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to it. And those are mine. That's what I got.
I'll just throw out two more because this is it. This is the last one. I need to talk about our most anticipated horror movie coming out yet, called Rob Zombie's The Munsters.
Yes. Absolutely.
Which just in the last couple weeks received a PG rating, which I
knew it was.
Which is a great sign. I had this little, worry of, what if they do give this an R rating and it's not what it turns out. No, we're gonna get Rob Zombie doing the TV monsters. I'm stoked for this movie. I can't wait to see the first trailer, and I think people are gonna hopefully eat this up. Hopefully, people go out to watch this movie. Yeah, I'm stoked for it.
I genuinely think Zombie is the person to do this movie. Like I'm not a huge Rob Zombie fan. The only movie of his that I genuinely actively like is Lords of Salem. Everything else of his, I appreciate that he has his own style. It's just not for me. But I know how much he loves the Munsters. When you hear him talk about it, there's so much love there for it, and so I think he's going to nail this. I'm really, really freaking excited for this movie.
Last thing, because I looked it up before we started, there are no plans for a new Scooby-Doo movie. I've not seen anything in production animated-wise. The only thing that is rumored is a possible sequel to Scoob.
Yeah, I'm excited for that.
Which I will take, obviously. But I don't know. I'm kind of expecting another straight-to-video animated movie.
There will be at some point this year. It just probably hasn't been announced
Nothing's been announced yet. HBO Max, looking at you, just start releasing more Scooby-Doo content.
Hell yeah.
For all the hashtag do-heads out there.
Hashtag do-heads.
So I realized that I forgot one thing in Fresh Meat. And that's Midnight Mass.
Yes, you watched it.
So,
oh my god!
I want to end on a positive note, at least on my end. If I had seen this in time, this would have been my number one on the horror list.
Thank you.
It's. I can't put into words on how this thing just builds, and like you don't really know. I guess for me, like I didn't even know where it was going for the first like 4 episodes.
Yeah.
And then it just goes full tilt. The great thing is it's only like 7 episodes long.
Yeah.
And the 6th episode is and the final episode, the final like 15 minutes of this show are just
devastating.
Just remarkably well done. I can't. And in Casey, you know me, like I've been a critic of Mike Flanagan for years now. Like I think he's really good. I just kind of been like waiting for him to take that step, and this was like just on another level. Like this blows Haunting of Hill House out of the water. Like it's just it's like the themes it deals with, how it deals with them, just like it's just so good. And I can't recommend it enough. Like it's a 10 out of 10 masterclass. So yeah, that's my last freshman ever. So
I cannot even begin to like when you messaged me and were like, this is fucking incredible.
Yeah.
I was just like, I love that show so much. I mean, I watched it twice in 2 weeks. Like I watched the whole thing twice in 2 weeks.
It's really good.
It's next level, man. I've never had something move me that deeply as that show did.
The people who complain about the monologues can just go fuck off. Like, they're so well done. Like, oh my god, I'm thinking of one sequence in a boat that I can't say too much about.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like, oh my god, like.
The boat scene is.
It's a masterpiece. Like it's the best thing Flanagan's ever done. It's gonna be super hard for them to beat this. I mean, it's just.
Have you watched any interviews with him or listened to any interviews with him since this has come out?
I listened to some podcasts with him where he talks about like in depth of making of the show and the choices like. To fight Netflix on certain things and how they got concessions and how to make certain things, and it's quite fascinating. So,
well, like Kate Siegel was saying, he's been like the whole time they were filming, he would wake up at like 3 a.m. and he'd wake her up and be like, "I'm never gonna do anything this good again, am I?" And she's like, "I just have to tell him like, Mike, stop, just roll over and go back to sleep."
Yeah. It's just. I mean, like, we could almost do a whole podcast on this show because there's so much to talk about. But I mean, everything about it's perfect. I can't think of a single thing that is.
Hamish Linklater is
luminescent
in this show.
It's just, I mean,
I don't know. And fucking Henry Thomas in the last like 5 minutes of this series, like. The last shot you see with Henry Thomas is it breaks me. It just, it tears down my wall. Like I'm a mess by the end of this fucking show.
I mean, the final shot of the entire show is.
Yep.
Like, oh my God.
Yeah.
I don't have to say, like, it's perfect. It's a perfect 7-hour movie. It's just, it's the best horror thing that was released last year. I mean, without a doubt, without a doubt. So,
yep. God, I'm so glad.
You got to watch it.
I will bump this and Fresh up towards the top of need to watch.
It is something else. It is. It's the thing I've been waiting for Mike Flanagan to make. Like, it's perfect. Yeah.
It's his magnum opus.
Yeah, it really is. Like,
yeah.
I don't even know why he's still working. Like, no, I mean,
he's got to pay the bills. It's got to pay the bills.
Yeah, maybe, yeah,
yep,
yeah. I mean, that's all I gotta say. It's perfect.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Well, there you have it. We're ending SlashLot on the biggest midnight mass recommendation ever. Go fucking watch it. If you've learned anything from this podcast, go fucking watch Midnight Mass. Casey, did you learn your lesson from this podcast?
It took us however long we've been doing this to get it into my head to finally watch Midnight Mass.
Guys, I'm gonna miss this. I love you both.
We'll do it again. We'll be back at some point.
We're gonna still do our top 10 list because I can't not do that.
Yeah.
Whatever form that takes, like we have to do at least that. But yeah.
I'm in.
Yeah.
Sweet.
This isn't the end. This is see you later.
It's a see you later. Yep.
Yeah, exactly. It's a spookulator.
It's a spooky.
Oh, Sam.
That's it.
All right,
we have to end it on that.
Yep. Yep.
Spookulator.
All
This was
right.
lovely.
This
Good night, guys.
This has been awesome.
Yeah. Thank you guys for everything, for listening. Thank you guys for co-hosting this. This has been
This is fun. Yeah.
This is one of my favorite things I've ever done. So yeah.
All right.
That's it.
right.
Should we hit this music one more time?
Let's hit the music one more time.
That's the only way to end this.
Yep.
All right. I'll give a spook you later.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
We'll
spook
you later.
That was cheesy.
They're coming to get you, Barbara.